Which authors are highest on my TBR? Let's find out. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Adrian. Today we are going to be looking at 4 authors who are top priority on my to be read list. These are guys who I have read books and series from in the past that I adore, but I've never quite got onto the rest of their back catalogue. Today is me making a statement that I will get to their back catalogue soon, and this is me saying what I'm intending to read and why, what I loved so much and why I'm intending to read more books by these particular authors. So in at number 1 is Daniel Abraham. You may know him as one of the co-authors of the Expanse sci-fi series. For me, he is the author of the wonderful Long Price Quartet. These 2 books up here is actually a 4-book series, as the name suggests, but you will find either a full 4-book bind-up or often these 2-book bind-ups for this series. This series starts with The Shadow in Summer and is one of my favourite series of all time. In about 1300 pages for the entire series, Daniel Abraham takes us through almost 70 years of characters' lives, and I just absolutely adore almost everything about this series. Daniel Abraham's character work is absolutely outstanding. The way he builds a world very subtly with very few words, but does it so magnificently, is just incredible. And the emotional impact of this series I cannot understate. It is incredible. I finished this series in February this year and it immediately slotted into my top 5 series of all time. It is just absolutely incredible. And yet I've not carried on with any of Daniel Abraham's other works. He does have a new fantasy series starting in the beginning of 2022. I think it's coming out in February, called Age of Ash, and I am really excited to get to that. But before I do, I really want to get to his other solo fantasy series, Dagger and Coin. So the Dagger and Coin series is a 5-book series starting with The Dragon's Path. I believe in terms of setting, it is much more standard, almost medieval fantasy vibes to it, rather than the more Asian feeling vibe that we had in the Long Price Quartet. I have seen videos from people who have read the first book and it very much felt like a setup book for them, but they can see where he is going, they can see how he is laying the foundation for super impactful endings just like he did in the Long Price Quartet, and I cannot wait to get to this series. I've already picked up the first couple of books and I am hoping to get to The Dragon's Path book 1 in November, hopefully. Hold me to that. Next up is an author that I have only read 1 series by as well, and this is Conn Iggulden. I have read his Emperor series, which is a 5-book series following the life and times of Julius Caesar and the Roman Empire. For me, this was good, but not great. It's not going to be my top series of all time, but it was a really, really wonderful introduction for me into historical fiction. I'm not someone who has read much historical fiction before, and this was a really good series to get me into it. The reason I am wanting to read more Conn Iggulden is that the series he has written really interest me. So he's got the Conqueror series, which is following Genghis Khan, which sounds particularly interesting to me. As well as that, he's got a War of the Roses series. I did read a book by Dan Jones earlier this year called The Hollow Crown, which follows the events of the War of the Roses, a non-fiction account of the War of the Roses, and I am actually really interested to see Conn Iggulden's fictionalized take upon some of the events that happen there, because it is a bit mental. It's just absolutely crazy all that is going on in the War of the Roses, and I'm really looking forward to digging into Conn Iggulden's take on that, and as he puts a narrative into that is hopefully gripping and entertaining, and to bring some of those characters to life as well. I'm really looking forward to the War of the Roses series. This is not as high or imminent on my TBR as the Dagger and the Coin is. I imagine I will be getting to this some point next year, I hope. Guys, if you are enjoying hearing about some big name authors, but some of their lesser known works that I'm hopefully getting to, please like this video so people can see it. It is more visible and people will delve into some of these back catalogues of authors that I absolutely love. Next up is the author who is the king of standalone fantasy, and this is Gavriel Kay. I have read 2 books by Gavriel Kay, that being Tigana and The Lions of al-Rassan. Now, often I've heard these 2 referred to as his best work, and for me, they are both incredible. They were both 5 stars, and they're both in my top 5 fantasy standalones lists of all time. Like, I just absolutely adore both of them. I cannot split the hairs needed to decide which one I love more, really. They are just both absolutely astounding pieces of work, and I really, really want to jump into more Gavriel Kay over the coming months. Particularly, I am interested in Under Heaven, the Sarantine Mosaic, and as well as that, the Finnevar Tapestry. So I know the Finnevar Tapestry, starting with the Summer Tree, is his earliest work, and I assume therefore his weakest work. I know Klaus has been reading that recently and didn't love it as much as Tigana, but I am hoping to get into that. I believe that's a portal fantasy, which is a slightly different style than we've seen from Gavriel Kay in the books I've read so far. I'm actually really interested though to get to Under Heaven, which I believe is a more Asian-inspired fantasy setting, and I know that Gavriel Kay's prose and writing style will just be wonderful, as it always is. His character work is great, and his theming just so good. His theming in The Lions of al-Rassan and Tigana is just absolutely on point, and I hope that that is true in the rest of his works as well. And then the final author who is super high priority for me at this point in time is Jen Williams. Jen Williams is the author of the Winnowing Flame trilogy, which I know is relatively hard to get a hold of in the US, but over here in the UK is a little bit easier to find. I read that trilogy back to back this year, only a few months ago, and it is absolutely outstanding. I really love the character work. I love the world building. It felt like there were so many disparate elements thrown in together, and yet it worked. It worked as a world. It seemed to mesh together incredibly well, and I will never forgive Jen Williams for the ending of this series. It was not what I wanted, but I really appreciate what she did. So I cannot wait to read more books by Jen Williams. What I am intending to read next is the trilogy that she wrote before the Winnowing Flame trilogy. I believe it came out 4 or 5 years before the Winnowing Flame trilogy, and that's the Copper Cat trilogy. So I don't know anything about this. All I know is that it is something else Jen Williams has wrote, and I trust Jen Williams as an author. Considering how she started and how she landed the Winnowing Flame trilogy, I trust her as an author. Even her debut works, I'm going to trust her as an author and trust that she knows what she's doing. And hopefully this Coppercat trilogy is just as enjoyable as the Winnowing Flame trilogy for me, because the Winnowing Flame trilogy is absolutely outstanding. And I cannot wait to get into more works by Jen Williams. So hopefully I will love that just as much. And there you go, they're my 4 high priority authors I'm not reading currently, but I really, really want to get to. Most of them, hopefully, I'll be getting to this year. I believe Conn Iggulden will probably not be till next year. Let me know, guys, down below what your must-read authors are, your authors that you have not finished their back catalogue, but you need to get on and read them. Let me know who they are down below, and maybe I'll pick up some recommendations in the comments. And I'll see you guys again soon.